Saturday night. It's almost 9 p.m. And I have had some thoughts today, quite a many thoughts, if you will. And especially because of some of the feedback that I received from you people in regards to what I showed in the tree line as far as the geometric shapes. And people were saying that they were seeing other things. So I want to get into this topic of other things real quick. If these other things are in fact what you see that resemble faces, or maybe even full bodies, do you know what you are looking at? A lot of people want to say, okay, these are dimensional creatures. I am going to say that in a way that is correct and in a way that is very incorrect. If you are familiar with the time loop scenario, which explains a great many things as long as you keep an open mind, then you will know that I have brought up the factor of reincarnation. And no, I am not in reference to the reincarnation aspects directly from India, although that is a great place to begin. Because it has been the rhetoric of, oh yeah, we turn into cows. Okay, well, there's a lot more to it than just that. And I want to go into a little bit of detail. Because what you are seeing are in fact cryptids, otherwise known as demigods. Okay? And I want you to bear with me as I read to you some quotes from some very famous people. In the 3rd century AD, the theologian Origen, one of the fathers of the early Christian church and its most accomplished biblical scholar, wrote, "By some inclination towards evil, certain souls come into bodies, first of men, then through their association with the irrational passions, after the allotted span of human life, they are changed into beasts, from which they sink to the level of plants. From this condition they rise again through the same stages and are restored to their heavenly place." In the Gospel of St. Matthew, we read, "And Jesus answered them, Elias shall truly first come, and restore all things. But I say unto you, that Elias is come already, and they knew him not. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist." In other words, Jesus declared that John the Baptist, who was beheaded by Herod, was a reincarnation of the prophet Elias. Again, speaking of John the Baptist, Jesus said, "This is Elias, which was for to come. He hath ears to hear, let him hear." Benjamin Franklin wrote, "Finding myself to exist in the other world, I believe I shall, in some shape or other, always exist." In 1814, former U.S. President John Adams, who had been reading books about Hindu religion, wrote another ex-president, the sage of Monticello, Thomas Jefferson, about the doctrine of reincarnation. After revolting against the Supreme Being, some souls were hurled, Adams wrote, down to the regions of total darkness. Then they were then, the statesman said, released from prison, permitted to ascend to earth and migrate into all sorts of animals, reptiles, birds, beasts, and men, according to their rank and character, and even into vegetables and minerals, there to serve on probation. If they passed without reproach their several graduations, they were permitted to become cows and men. If as men they behaved well, they were restored to their original rank and bliss. Emerson wrote, "It is a secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but only retire a little from sight, and afterwards return again. Nothing is dead. Men feign themselves dead and endure mock funerals and mournful obituaries, and there they stand looking out of the window, sound and well, in some new and strange disguise. Emerson quoted, "The soul is not born, it does not die. It was not produced from anyone. Unborn, eternal, it is not slain, through the body is slain." Now let's go a step further into one of the aspects of reincarnation, which is known as deja vu. Charles Dickens explored an experience often based on remembrances from past lives, deja vu. We all have some experience of a feeling that comes over us occasionally of what we are saying and doing having been said and done before in a remote time, of our having been surrounded dim ages ago by the same faces, objects, and circumstances. Henry Ford once told a newspaper interviewer, "I adopted the theory of reincarnation when I was 26, Ford said. Genius is experience. Some seem to think that it is a gift or talent, but it is the fruit of long experience in many lives." In similar fashion, U.S. General George S. Patton believed that he had acquired his military skills on ancient battlefields. The author Jack London writes, "All of my previous selves have their voices, echoes, promptings in time. Incalculable times again shall I be born, and yet the stupid dolts about me think that by stretching my neck with a rope, they will make me cease." Carl Jung, "I could well imagine that I might have lived in former centuries and there encountered questions I was not yet able to answer, that I had to be born again because I had not fulfilled the task that was given to me." Alright, people, now that is the basis for karma. Once again, this is all explained in that time loop scenario theme that I bring up and speak of so adamantly. What you are seeing are actually past lives of people in which their faces will appear in the plant life because that is where they are serving their time. And you might see some of these faces not really looking human, quite distorted, animalistic. Well, understand that is part of this transformation that they are going through, going into the next level. Now, if you want to call this fifth dimensional entities, great. But let me tell you something. Whether they appear two-dimensional, flat, like an art drawing, or three-dimensional, or even possibly in between, such as ghosts, specters, they are all going through their levels, different levels of reincarnation, because of not learning past lessons. We are trapped in a time loop to where we go over and over and over again, and this is not just held here to this planet. No, it's ever reaching, because we have the ripple effect. And there's so much more that I could explain in regards to this. But I would hope that you actually take some of this into account and consideration, that what you are actually seeing when you see the faces that they are past lives, they are present lives, and they are future lives. Everything living has an aura about it. We as humans, under certain spectrums of light, we can see the auras that surround our bodies. Plants have these living auras. What it is, the aura is the energy of the soul. Remember, the soul is not the same as the spirit. The spirit is the thought process of the soul, which is not the mind nor the body. They are within. And I'm going to go into that a little bit further. I'm just priming up for tomorrow's Sunday sermon. Hopefully we will get that out there. But I wanted to explain that everything living has an aura. And you know, this is what's really going to shock and possibly disturb people. You know those glowing lights that zip around faster than the fastest jets or even missiles? Do you know that those glowing lights, and I'm not talking about the solid objects, I am talking about these UAPs, not UFOs. UFOs are objects. UAPs are phenomenons, such as what I record all the time. They are anomalies. Well, these have auras about them. And scientists and ufologists want to claim that that is your anti-gravitational propulsion systems to these phenomena. No. Maybe to the objects. But these lights, they are living organisms. They have their auras. Think about that one. Furthermore, you want to talk about aliens? They're another life form. The little grays? That's us. Far off into the future. That's what we eventually morph into. I know it sounds crazy. All the evidence is out there. Keep an open mind, people. I don't want to have to come back and review this again. If you have any questions or comments, hey, feel free to throw them out there. But please, no explanations through just a simple verse or two from the Bible. That don't cut it. You want to interact? Do so properly. Thank you. Have a great one.